Right, so today we just got a delivery of an engine to go over, give it a health check, and if everything goes okay with that, a compression test pretty much, and we're going to put on a timing belt, maybe a new clutch, and just check any gaskets or seals that might be leaking and replace them too. So it's my buddy's, he's bought a Corsa VXR, or I think this is an Arctic actually. It's just the same thing, isn't it? Right, so it looks as though they've sent the engine complete. All the ancillaries is the alternator, the starter, all the manifolds. They've even left the ECU on it. Throttle body, turbo. What's happened to the camera here? And they've even actually they've sent it still full of oil, which is usually a big no-no for courier companies. So it's just as well it didn't tip upside down, you probably would have been in trouble. So because the starter's still on it, I'm going to lift this off of here onto the ground, and then I'll pull out the plugs and just do a quick compression test on it, spin it over with the starter, just to make sure everything's okay before we go any further. Now, piston one, cylinder one first. $190. $190 again. That's $190. It took a little bit longer to get there though. But we don't know how long the engine's been sitting, so sometimes if they sit for a while they need to build up the old compression again. Last one. Cylinder 4 is 200, which is the best one. Yeah, some of you are probably saying this is amazing because it's on these engines, it's always cylinder 4 that melts or goes pop. Although that's usually on engines where people have remapped them without doing any engine work. I've never actually seen one standard have that problems. But the people, they never tell you that bit, that they map them. Right, so the compression test is good. I would think with these engines, 190 to 200 psi is a healthy engine. Also the same with the Z20 LETs, LERs, LEHs, LELs. 190 to 200 is pretty good. My buddy's actually bringing his old original engine down. We're going to strip that down at some point and see what went wrong. It's just, we were thinking about rebuilding the other one, but I mean, we need to strip it down and see what the problems are, and then there could be that the block is damaged and can't be used, and then the head's got to go away for skimming, much like the Astra van. Could rebuild it, but time and money outweighs just getting another one and swapping over. It's really sad, but it's just the way it is. So I'll strip this one down. I'll take all the well, maybe not. I'll take off the all cut loom and all the all cut pipes off, and I'll have a look at the clutch, and then it'll sort of be ready. I'll maybe drain this oil out as well, and it'll be ready for all the new parts coming, and the other engine, so we can swap the good bits off of that onto this one. Yeah, so it's probably been sitting in the breaker's yard for a while outside, so I probably wouldn't use that again. And yeah, there's not much life left in that. Original GM clutch as well, or Sachs with the GM stamp. Clutch is no good, and that flywheel also no good. So already the costs are going up, but hopefully this is good on the original engine. We'll check it when it comes in. Alright, here's the old engine. So just going to go over this, take off the good bits. I've started taking off the wiring loom, and I've already swapped the ECU over, and the turbo on the new engine is actually slightly better than this one, so that's good. Don't need to swap that around. Gearbox looks like it's been a reconditioned box. So hopefully they replace the clutch and the flywheel on here at the same time. Yeah, I'm going to go and whip off this gearbox and check the condition of the clutch and flywheel, and hopefully it's in good condition. Alright, I've got the wiring loom swapped over now. It's all in place. And I've taken off the gearbox. You can't really tell too much about the gearbox, but the clutch and the flywheel on this engine is no good, neither. There's just no spring back, and there's way too much in and out play again. I'm just stripping off the manifolds, and I'll take this turbo off because they'll be ideal for spares, because I would imagine this engine and head and block will be for the bin. But when I took the inlet manifold off, look at those valves. Oof. It just seems to be cylinder 4. That one's full of oil. But yeah. So after all of this, at the end I'll take the head off of this and the sump, and we'll see what's going on in here. But in the meantime, I'm gonna have to get a flywheel and a clutch kit. The clutch is actually in worse condition than the replacement engine. It's this one. Genuine clutch again still, so maybe the original. And we can almost see it's down to the stops there. And also this is on its going. It's all rattly in the middle. That's usually because the clutch or the gearbox, well, the clutch probably has been not lined up 100%. And you can see the fixing plate, loads of hot spots on it, as these VXRs usually do because they get thrashed. Yeah, that's off the new engine. I'm getting confused now. So this is the one off the original engine, and that's just about down to the stops there as well. So yeah, we definitely need a new clutch kit and flywheel. So that's where we're at just now. I'm going to go and do the timing belt. So I'll split that up because I'll just put a video of a timing belt change on this because a few people ask, and these are one of the easiest timing belts you can do, but I'll explain after. Right, so these timing belts, real easy to do. It'll be easier to show you with the engine out. So the first thing that you'll want to do is get a 19mm 12-point socket so you can release the auxiliary belt tensioner. And we'll take that off. So next we need to, I'm going to change the water pump as well, so I'll whip off these 3 T45s, and the mount and the cover, and this tensioner is going to come out, and then we can get into the timing belt. Alright, hopefully that's a better view. Alright. Now I'll take off the tensioner. It's a E14. And the mount, I think they're E14 as well. And then we'll do the crank pulley. It's an E18. I need the bolt back in, turn the engine, time it up. And then we need E10s for that bottom cover. There we go. And the water pump is E10s as well. And there's a seal on there. think you would. There we go. Bit of a build up of gunk in it. I'll clean that out after. Right, so now we just need to time the engine. So it's pretty straightforward. Get you closer. So there's two notches on the cam pulleys. So there's one there and there's one there. So they've got to line up in the middle. And then there's a notch on the bottom of the crank pulley which lines up with a notch in the aluminium casing. It's actually just about timed up anyway. Back over here. Okay. So yeah, that looks bang on. So we just need to, you just need to lock the cams on this. And this engine, the VXR, but all of these 1600 engines, Vauxhalls, and the 18s as well, like the twin ports or the XERs, XEPs, they're just all the same. They're dead easy. You just need to lock the cams, and it's got an automatic tensioner, so that's the easy bit. Because when I started doing timing belts in the old apprentice days, the hardest part or the most scary part for timing up an engine, it wasn't timing up the pulleys and stuff. It was setting the tension. But this is just it's just automatic. It's like the auxiliary belt tensioner. You just take off the tension, put the belt on and release it, and then it automatically tensions. So if you're new to timing belts, these engines are probably the easiest ones to do. But I'll show you anyway. I'll go and get the tool for this. So here's the timing belt tool. I think I got this off eBay for 20 quid. And you get everything in it for locking the cams, but you only need these two bits here really. You probably need them if you're doing a cylinder head, cams out or whatever, but I don't think I've ever used any of those tools. Right, so you just, I will say, because these are 20 quid, you get what you pay for, so you've got to do a little bit of fettling to line them up. Although, no, it's gone in perfect, so don't listen to me. Sweet, so now that's done, I can take off the two pulleys. What I want to do though is I want to maybe show you how that works first. Let me get an Allen key. Now, so it's usually 6 or 6 mil. I'll use this. So yeah, that's it. That's all the tension. So when you put the belt on, you'll have the tensioner as far around as possible, and then you just let it go, and that's it. So there's your belt off. And now I'll take off the old pulleys. There is a pointer that's got a there's a little cut out there. You probably can't see from there, but so, oh god, just there is where that pen slides into, just to lock it in place. So yeah, that's all you've got to remember. Right, I'll go and get the new kit. Right, so there's the new water pump, part number if you need it. And timing belt kit. Part number if you need that. So I don't know how much this costs because someone else bought it, but you can see that it's got the PSA group logo on these parts nowadays. The other thing is, don't get too excited thinking, oh, it's genuine parts. I mean, it is genuine parts, but it has the genuine part number on the belt, the GM number, but it's just a Gates. It's just a Gates timing belt. All Vauxhall do is stamp their number on it. So, like I say, I don't know how much this kit costs, but a Gates timing belt is probably 60, 80 quid. So if this costs more than that, then just buy a Gates. I know genuine stuff's great. I love genuine stuff myself, but it's not Vauxhall. Vauxhall haven't made this. It's just Gates. They've just put their part number on it. So there's a new tensioner. There's a part number there. In case I'm confusing anyone, you just need this part number is for the whole timing belt kit. But if you just wanted the tensioner pulley, that's the part number for it. If you just wanted the timing belt, then that's the part number for the belt. I don't know why you would ever need the individual parts. There's a pulley. And there's the two bolts for the tensioner and the idler. And what else we got in here? We've got a new crank bolt. And I think, and these are the two new camshaft pulley bolts, but we won't need them. Right, so I'm just going to take this picture over. Right, so I'll put the new idler pulley on first. So this is torqued up to 20 Newton meters. on. And then just need to remember to line that pin up in that groove, like so. And this is torqued up to 25 Newton meters. I'll just change it because that's on 20. There we go. Sweet. Now for the belt. Just need to make sure the bottom pulley doesn't move, the crank pulley. It sometimes likes to move, but you just line it up again with a notch. Sometimes it moves when you pull on it. Alright, so it's got to fettle about with it a bit. I should have done this on a table. There we go. Okay, so just I'll just double check that this crank pulley hasn't moved. Oh, so it looks all good to me. So yeah, I'm distracted, and then you just pull this pin out and it will automatically set tension feed like so. Just a little pin. And then just pull out the timing locking tool and crank the engine over a couple of times. And just make sure it all times up again. Perfect. So I've cleaned the face up for the water pump. Just used a bit of emery cloth. And yeah, so I'll put the new pump in place. Got the gasket on it. Sure, put it on the right way. Slides in nicely. And then what did I do with the bolts? There we go. Just go around, put them in, and then they are torqued to 8 Newton meters. Yeah. There we go. That spins perfectly fine. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a case of putting all covers and everything back on. I've got to change this AC pump over to this one because the plug's broken on that one. So I'll do that first. And that's pretty much it. Nice and easy. Alright, I'm just away to drain the oil out of the original broken engine, just to see what comes out. I can see coolant already. Oh. Yeah. It's really not in good shape, this engine. I imagine there'd be a few metal particles in there as well. Oh dear. No, I'm just doing all the little bits while I wait on the new flywheel and clutch. I'm changing the oil filter over on the new engine. And the bottom of the oil filter is actually stuck in the filter housing, which is a good indication that this engine is not being looked after. I'll get it after. Another reason that people moan about these engines failing is because they don't look after them. That filter's just falling to bits in there. Christ. Lovely. I'm surprised the turbo is as good as it is, to be fair. Yeah, so the only reason the engines, these VXR engines and the Z20 LETs and LERs or whatever, there's nothing wrong with them. People moan at their soft engine and that, but they're not. There's nothing wrong with them. They just get abused and neglected at the same time, and that's why they fail. Well, they get that stupid modern remapping where someone uploads a file in the ECU without any engine work. It's just madness. But it's the new craze, so you can't tell anyone. Everyone's an expert nowadays at everything. But yeah. So if I had bought this engine which is a bit of a shame for my buddy. I would not be holding out too much hope for its longevity. But I mean, we're giving it a good service. With a filter like that in that condition, if it was my engine, I would pull the sump off and clean out the sump and all the baffles and the pickup. So I'll see what my buddy wants to do. Yeah, not good. Right, so there's a new filter. I got the bottom out. Yeah, okay. Sweet, now so we've just got to wait a couple of days and then we'll get the new flywheel and clutch, and then we can put the gearbox back on, and that's it, it's good to go. I'm just pressing in the new diff seals. And we'll get a new CFC. It's a bit noisy. So yeah, can't do much else until we get the new parts. Alright, so I spoke to my buddy last night about the oil filter situation, and we agreed that it's probably best to pull the sump off and just make sure there's no gungy stuff in the bottom, give it a good clean, and just check the pickup pipe is alright. It'd be as well, as soon as it's out, it's easier to do now than when it's back in the car. And he's actually hoping to hang on to this Arctic for a little while, so being as well, doing as much as we can to make sure it's not going to blow up anytime soon or cause any issues. So I'm going to whip the sump off and see what we've got. Alright, so the sump's off and I've given it a quick clean up underneath, and it's just really good in here actually. The crank's spotless. I've still got to clean up the mating surface, but surprisingly good for the condition of that oil filter. And so I've got the sump off. I've taken the baffle plate out. You probably can't see too much on camera, but it's pretty clean, to be fair. And even the filter's clean after a wipe. So amazing. But it was always worth taking off just for peace of mind, because it just would just feel uncomfortable if I didn't check. So happy days. So all I've got to do is I'm going to take this over to the parts washer and clean it up, and then I'll clean the surfaces and get it back on. Now it's much cleaner inside, and I've cleaned up the face, ready for the new gasket. Seal it to go on, because these don't actually have a gasket, it's just sealant you put on. And then put that back in place, whichever way around that goes. So yeah, I'll go and do that and get it back on the engine. And it was actually not as bad as I thought it would be, but like I said, it's peace of mind. Right, so the sump's back on. Still waiting on a clutch and a flywheel coming. So while I'm waiting for that, let's pull this head off and see what the damage is. Who's excited? Alright, here we go. Wow. Alright, so, jeez. That was some serious damage. I mean, oh Jesus, so the block is absolutely scrap. Where's the piston going? Blimey, I've not seen one like that for a long time. Let me get you closer. Damage. Alright. Look at that. So the rod's bent. But I don't know whether the piston must be in the in the sump somewhere. But yeah, so when I was on about earlier on at the video about rebuilding and stuff, you never know what you're going to find, but you can't do it. That's buggered. That's absolute scrap. So I have actually found out from my buddy that this was remapped. So I'm yet to see one fail on standard form. I'm sure someone will say in the comments theirs failed and it was standard, but I bet it wasn't, because they would have failed. If they failed like that from standard, they would have failed in the first year of production, and they never did. They've never failed on standard mapping. It's always remaps, guaranteed. Like I say, it's a new craze. Everyone's into it. Uploading a file into their ECU. I don't get it, but I'm probably too old, I suppose. So yeah, that's total scrap. I don't even think the head can be salvaged. I think that's probably, yeah, it's there's a couple of gouges in it. I can feel quite a lot actually. Yeah, so I don't think that would be, I don't think you could do anything with that. Right, so it's a couple days later since we built up the engine, and we was just waiting on a flywheel and a clutch arriving, which took longer than we had hoped, but it's here now. So we've got the new the clutch slave cylinder, new clutch, sacks, and then the new flywheel, and we even got new bolts with it, which is great. So I was going to try and show you, let me put you on the stand and we'll see if we can show you how these flywheels wear. Now, I don't know if this will be easy to show. If you remember, I was on about the in and out movement. And this one's even worse than that one. There's the new one. There's no movement in that at all. also when you turn the flywheel, it springs back a little. It's difficult to show, but so yeah, we'll get that cleaned up and get it back on the engine. So all we've got to do is put the clutch on, bolt the gearbox back on, and then it's ready to give back to my buddy so he can get it back in his Corsa. So these flywheels, they only go on one way, so you've just got to spin them round until you line up the holes. Oh, they are heavy, like. Put the new bolts in. Right, so we need to torque up this flywheel. The torque settings are, I'm sure, I'll double check, but I'm sure it's 35 Newton meters. And then, what is it again? Oh yeah, it's 35 Newton meters, and then it's 30 degrees, and then it's 15 degrees. Or if you want to be like some garages and some DIY mechanics, just bang them in with your air gun or your Milwaukee gun and strip the threads and make it difficult to come off again. As we're going off on a tangent again. So to torque this up, you obviously need to lock it in place, otherwise you'll turn the engine the wrong way. So we've got to take the starter motor out, and then we put a little tool in. We'll bolt it in with one of the this starter hole here. So I'll take that off and then I'll show you the flywheel locking tool. Right, so yeah, you don't need to take the starter off. I don't know why I said that. It's just because I usually put the flywheel locking tool in the top bolt. But I can't do it on this one because the dowel's in the way. I could take the dowel out, but I'll just use the bottom bolt. So here's the flywheel locking tool. It just slips in the teeth. And then you just bolt it in so it doesn't move, obviously. Now, and that'll stop it moving while we torque up the bolts. Now that's it. 3 stages of torquing. Don't get the clutch on. Now I'll leave the flywheel locking too long because I'll obviously need to torque up the clutch. Gearbox side. Now I just need to torque up the clutch. These are M8 bolts, so they're 28 Newton meters. Right, and bang them on with the Milwaukee gun of your choice. Oh. So now I just need to put the starter bolt back in and then I can get the gearbox on. Now change the CSC of it. Bit rough. Yeah, I forgot to say, these are only 5 to 8 Newton meters, they're not very tight. Yeah, so good. We've got the new diff seals in both sides as well, so I just need to get that back on the engine. Now it's the gearbox back on, and that's it finished really. It's as much as I'm doing to it. The rest is up to my buddy to put this back in, connect it all up, and get new fluids in it and see how it performs. So this will probably be quite a long video, I think. But if you watch it, you watch it, and if you don't, you don't. But I noticed when I watch YouTube videos, everyone says if you like it, give it a thumbs up, but no one says if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. But if you're gonna give it a thumbs down, make sure you put in the comments why you're giving it a thumbs down. Don't just be one of those keyboard warriors. Let yourself be known. Let's hear why it's a rubbish video or why you don't like it. Alright, enjoy. See ya.